Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of the syndicated talk show People of Distinction. And people here on our network, we interview some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. And if you want to be a part of it, head on over to our personal site, peopleofdistinction.org, for more info. Or, you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And listen, we are very excited to showcase this next guest on our network. So sit back, strap in, and get ready for a wonderful ride. And on the line with us today, we have Michelle Macpherson. And we're going to be discussing her amazing book, A Global Pandemic Won't Change Me. Now, it's available for purchase through Amazon as well as barnesandnoble.com. But people, listen, if you want to gather everything that Michelle has in store, you can do no better than heading directly to her personal site. Now, it's called dragonflyglobal.com.au. There you'll find more information on Michelle herself, more information on this fantastic narrative, as well as find the hyperlink set up to take you to the purchasing page. So one more time, that's dragonflyglobal.com.au. And I will say, Michelle was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by some of the best publishers in the business. Stellar Literary Press and Media Publishing. So if you or anyone you know have a book that they'd like moved, I'm telling you people, you could do no better than contacting Stellar Literary. Have their fantastic team move your book for you. They're one of the best in the business to do it, and you can find out more information on them at stellarliterary.com. And listen, right there in the title, you have an idea of what we're discussing today, right? A global pandemic won't change me. But people, listen, don't be deceived by the title, because the title gives you a piece of it, but there is much more that meets the eye, okay? Because it goes much, much broader than just this pandemic. Now, of course, given the past pandemic that we are all, I guess in varying degrees, still dealing with, this is a fantastic resource. Now, it's a children's narrative, okay? So, of course, it was created specifically for children to help them with not only dealing with this pandemic, but really dealing with that overall dilemma of change, right? And how one deals with it and accepts it and grows and develops from it. I'm not going to lie, I know a lot of adults that can probably benefit from this message as well. But listen, I'm very excited to have Michelle here on the line. She's the expert. She's going to be able to articulate it. So let's bring her here with us, okay? Michelle, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction. And thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today?
Oh, thanks, Benji. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm well, thank you.
Perfect. Well, listen, it is an absolute honor to have you as a guest here with us today. And Michelle, I know we have a lot of information to cover pertaining to your book. Before we go into that, though, I think it's really important that we start off by learning a little bit more about yourself. So let's start there. Tell our listening audience a little bit more about your background, please.
Of course. I'm an educational and developmental psychologist, and I've been working in the field of pediatric psychology for over 20 years now, largely within school communities and in private practice. I've always had a love of children's literature and recently embarked on a new journey and created my first children's book. I'm an avid reader myself. I really enjoy literature about psychoanalytic theory and humanistic psychology, as well as existential philosophy. And I live in Melbourne, Australia, with my 2 teenage boys.
Listen, people, you know what I gathered with all of that is this is what she knows. I mean, she eats, sleeps, and breathes this, right? Through her career, her background, working with children. I mean, listen, the knowledge that you're going to find in this book truly is second to none. I'm telling you, you could do no better. You're really going to want to go and pick it up. Now, I'm curious, Michelle, what inspired you to write the book?
Well, as you've alluded to, Benji, the COVID-19 pandemic has really had quite a profound impact across the globe. And I began to reflect on my own personal experiences and observations from my clinical practice and the children and families that I was working with. And there's been an unprecedented demand for allied health services over the past couple of years, to the point where many families were just simply unable to access services. So I started to think about what I could do to help families, particularly children, to navigate the challenges that they were facing and experiencing. So I knew I needed a platform that could reach a wider audience. So I decided to create a children's book. And that was the beginning of Dragonfly Global.
You know, Michelle, great segue that you've established for us, because that's really where I wanted to go next. I want to talk about Dragonfly Global. Michelle, tell us a little bit more about it, because I'm sure it's much bigger than just a domain name.
It is, Benji. It's certainly the name of the entity that represents my brand, if you like. It's Dragonfly Global is a universal enterprise with a humanitarian purpose that produces children's picture books. And these books will be created to challenge self-limiting beliefs that inhibit growth. They will foster personal empowerment and teach children to be responsible for their thinking and their choices and actions. I think children's literature is a very powerful way to teach and communicate important life lessons, and to create positive change. And the dragonfly is a symbol that represents change.
Well, you know, Michelle, the anchor for today's interview is all about your book, A Global Pandemic Won't Change Me. So without further ado, tell us a little bit more about it.
Well, the story shares a young girl's experience of challenge, change, and personal growth as a result of the pandemic. And we follow her on a journey of observations and thoughts, emotions, and how she navigates personal conflict and confronts her fears. She learns to embrace change and understand that it's within her power to change her thinking and adapt to the circumstances, to take positive action and create her own reality, despite what's going on around her.
You know, Michelle, thank you very much for all of the information that you've relayed so far. People, again, I'm telling you, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, dragonflyglobal.com.au are the places you have to go. A Global Pandemic Won't Change Me is the title you have to pick up, and Michelle Macpherson is the author you have to thank for bringing it to your table. You know, follow-up question now, Michelle, as we continue. In addition to your own experience, because I'm sure a lot of your information is gained from your years in your background, right, in your career. But in addition to that experience, what type of research did you do in preparation for this book, Michelle?
Well, you're right, Benji. I have drawn on my clinical experience and also my knowledge of existential philosophy, humanistic and psychoanalytic psychology, both theory and therapies. In particular, the works of Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung about the conscious and subconscious mind. And I've adopted many of these rather complex theoretical principles and applied them in a creative format to make them accessible for children. So allow me to unpack this a little further. We know about the subconscious mind and that it never sleeps. It holds all the thoughts you're unaware of and contains all the stored information from everything you've ever experienced. It influences how you respond and behave, stores memories and emotions, and drives habits and behavioural patterns. And it holds about 90 to 95% of our mind's content. And the conscious mind, however, is our sense of self, who we are, our ego, if you like. And it constitutes the thoughts that we are aware of. It's our logical mind, and it holds approximately 5 to 10% of content. Now, the ego, or critical mind, doesn't begin to develop until around the age of 8. And it's usually fully established by the age of 12. So what that means is that until this age, everything a child experiences, observes, learns, reads, is assimilated straight into the subconscious mind without question as fact.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful.
It's incredible stuff.
Pardon?
No, I just said that's incredible stuff.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I've read material where the mind has been likened to a fertile garden. which I think is a really great analogy. So quite simply, if you plant a corn seed in your garden, you will grow corn. Mm-hmm. If you plant an onion seed, you will grow onion. And the mind is no different. It's incredibly fertile, and the seeds that are planted in childhood are what we reap in adulthood. And these seeds will drive our thoughts, our actions, behaviours and emotions. And for children, they reside in the subconscious mind and remain dormant until the ego is established, at which time they germinate and grow freely.
I love that analogy. I love the analogy, especially the imagery that comes to mind with it. It's fantastic, and it absolutely makes perfect sense, and I'm connecting the dots with you. I'm sorry, I think I interceded, but it was a wonderful image, and I had to put that out there.
Well, the thing is, Benji, this is where it gets a bit interesting. Do you know what seed lies within the subconscious minds of most children around the world today?
I do not, no.
It's fear. The seed of fear has been planted into the subconscious mind of children as a result of the global pandemic. Now, in order to embrace change, we need to face our fears. Mm-hmm. That's how we experience personal growth. And this, in fact, is the basis of existential therapy. It teaches us to focus on the anxiety that we experience when confronted with a conflict or a personal challenge, and to take responsibility for making decisions to manage these. And if we fail to do this as a result of fear, we don't change, we don't grow. Instead, we idle, we stagnate, we remain stuck in repetitive thought patterns and habits, we conform and remain in our comfort zone. Fear is a form of control. And Rollo May, an American existential psychologist, he, I think, captured it best when he said, the opposite of courage in our society is not cowardice, it's conformity. And I think that's a great quote, because
absolutely,
it takes courage to change,
right,
but fear obstructs it. So, do we want a generation of children who grow to be adults that function from a place of fear? Or do we want them to be free-thinking, adaptable problem solvers that have the courage to embrace change? That's the question.
That's the question. Michelle, that's the $1 million question, right? You know, Michelle, what is... Well, you know, I was going to ask who your intended audience is, but we know who your intended audience is. But for me personally, I know it's a children's narrative, Michelle, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of adults that can benefit from this. But we know who your intended audience is. What is the main message that you're hoping that they receive from it?
Look, there are many messages or seeds, if you like, in my book, but the underlying concept is change. It teaches children to question, to reflect, to think creatively, to have the courage to face a challenge or personal conflict, to make choices that honour their beliefs and to act in accordance with those choices and to take responsibility for the decisions that they make. I think it teaches and empowers children to understand also that how our thoughts and actions ultimately create our reality.
You know, and following off of that, Michelle, so we know what you want your readers to take from the book. What are you hoping to see people do with the book?
Well, I'm hoping, to be honest, Benji, that people will understand that this is not simply a children's picture book. It is so much more. This book has been fashioned from psychological and philosophical principles from some of the greatest minds in history. And within the pages of this book lie many valuable seeds of hope and courage and joy that when planted into the subconscious minds of children will create positive change.
Right.
I absolutely believe this to be true. It's incredibly powerful.
Well, there you have it. You know, Michelle, we know about this book. We know about your past. Well, I'm focused now on the future. What's upcoming for you, Michelle? Please tell me there's more on the horizon.
Yes. In fact, I have started working on my second book. And my illustrator, Jessie Bell Van Loon, has begun preliminary sketches as well. Jessie illustrated A Global Pandemic Won't Change Me at the age of 15. She's an incredibly talented young lady, and I absolutely love working with her. So that's exciting that the second book is now underway. It will be different to the first. It will have animals, and the main message will be around the concept of self-belief. Again, I'll be drawing on psychoanalytic theories about how, with conscious awareness, we can in fact reprogram the subconscious mind.
There you have it. There you have it. Last question here for you, Michelle, as we close out of this wonderful interview. I love having this platform, right? Being an artist myself, and I talked to you about this earlier on the pre-screening call, but, you know, being an artist myself, I love having the platform to be able to pay it forward, in a sense, whenever there's opportunities that present themselves. Now, you are someone that has been through the process. You've not only written your own narrative, but you've also gotten it published. And anyone that's been through the process understands writing the book is only half the battle, right? So I would love to take this opportunity, Michelle, for any new writers out there listening in, what are some words of wisdom that you could offer them?
My advice would be to embrace your imagination, which resides in the subconscious mind, by the way. Imagination shows us how to turn possibility into reality.
I love it. There it is. Short, sweet, concise. Listen, profound stuff. People, listen, I'm going to say it for you again. I know I don't have to, but I'm going to re-impress it for you, for really the stragglers that are hanging there in the back, because I know the majority of you are already there. You are already heading on over to her Amazon, her Barnes & Noble page, her personal website, dragonflyglobal.com.au, and you are ready to purchase your copies. For everybody else, I don't know what's going on. Pinch yourself. You're asleep. I don't get it. No, but people, listen, this is a fantastic resource, okay? You have to head on over there. You have to pick up your copies because, again, it's a wonderful journey for you to embark upon with your children. A wonderful education that they're going to receive. But I'm sticking to my guns here, people. This is a fantastic book for some adults as well, okay? A wonderful book to add to your shelf, an even better gift to add to someone else's. Head on over to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, once more, dragonflyglobal.com.au, and purchase your copy today. And of course, you have Michelle Macpherson to thank for it. Michelle, this has been an absolute pleasure. Such an honor. I truly mean that. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
Thanks, Benji. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Come and be a guest with us on People of Distinction.